Hello and welcome back to Character Day. It's been a spectacular day. I feel like I've been on an ongoing dinner party where we're kind of following the sun with interesting people from different parts of the world, talking about character from all the different perspectives. There's over 130,000 live events happening in 119 countries. I just found it out from our team that people are tapping in from 149 countries online and all 50 states, all talking about one theme, which is character. And it's very exciting to see this experiment grow, a global conversation with film and discussion. So I'm super excited for a number of reasons. It's been a great day. I've been up since 3 in the morning, and we're at our last speaker, and it's someone I love talking to, and we get to now have it recorded. So I'm going to read Scott's official bio as I throw the camera to him. Hi, Scott.
Hi, feel free to make it really short.
Okay, I'll make it really short. It's so awkward when people read a bio.
I know.
Scott Barry Kaufman is known for his research and writing on intelligence and creativity. He's currently scientific director of the Imagination Institute and conducts research in the Positive Psychology Center at the University of Pennsylvania, where he also teaches the popular undergraduate course, Intro to Positive Psychology. His writing has appeared in The Atlantic, Scientific American, and I won't read the whole list because we're trying to make this short. A lot of my favorite publications, and his latest book, which is fantastic, Wired to Create, Unraveling the Mysteries of the Creative Mind. Welcome, Scott.
Oh, thanks. I always enjoy chatting with you, Tiffany.
So my first question to you is that you spend a lot of time talking about intelligence and creativity, and how do you define intelligence? I think it'd be great for the audience to hear that.
Sure. I define intelligence as the dynamic interplay of abilities and engagement in the pursuit of personal goals.
Woo! I've never read that before.
That's a mouthful, and I admit it's a mouthful, but I think that a definition of intelligence deserves to actually match the complexity of what intelligence actually is, if that makes sense.
Oh, that absolutely makes sense. And now, how would you define creativity? Another good one.
My definition of creativity is a lot simpler.
Okay.
And that's simply bringing into being anything that didn't exist before. Now, I make my definition of creativity so general like that because, and then we can specify different, like gradations of like what that means. Like you can bring something into the world that hasn't been before that's like mini C creative, or you can bring something into the world that hasn't existed before that changes the world, and that's big C creative. Yet I don't like to say, I make it broad for a reason, because I think the beautiful thing about creativity is that the most creative ideas of all time were those that didn't seem creative when they came out, and people put all sorts of judgments on them, like ew or disgusting. And in fact, there's almost an inverse relationship between the extent to which something is popular when it first comes out and its actual eventual judgment of its creativity.
Interesting. Well, I'm digging the big C or little C.
Yeah, there's mini C as well, micro C.
I know, but it's like when I'm starting a film, I'm like, is this project a big C or a little C? Like when I'm tackling like a little C, when I'm sculpting, and then when I'm making a film that takes me a long time, that's a big C. I think, like I'll have a little scale. Like, what is this endeavor that I'm about to take on? What does it represent to me in the C growth element? I like thinking about it that way. I also think about creativity as unusual connections. Do you ever go there?
Sure. Oh, sure. And there's all these processes that make it more likely that something's going to be considered creative to people, or actually considered crazy to people. We study those factors too. You need a creativity, like this big C creativity strikes a really good balance between coming up with things that are like just a little crazy, but not too crazy. But you need to. I wrote an article once. Must you risk madness to achieve creative greatness? And I think you must risk it. I'm not saying you have to be mad, but you have to risk it, if that makes sense.
Actually, I love I think it's Flaubert has one of my favorite lines about creativity. And I think about this when I have to do a lot of creative things and I have to be very disciplined in getting enough sleep. But it's something like, I have to be disciplined in my life so I can be like radical in my creativity.
I like that.
Paraphrasing it, but I love this idea of like, there needs to be some order so you can be completely radical creatively. Now, I'm just remembering that the first way that we met was, I think, online, because you saw the film I made about like kind of the science behind daydream, or it was really about the default mode network.
Yes.
Yes, and I was very interested, still am, in daydreaming and creativity and the science and what we know and what we don't know about sleep. And then when I talked to you, you had a wonderful word, which is a different word for the default mode network. So I'd love for you to say the word and explain what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Can people see me right now?
Oh yeah, you look great. You look like you're like running a big engineering.
I'm trying to advertise this shirt my friend Sarah Shire made. Compassionate. Okay. Anyway,
That's good.
I was doing like this, and I was like,
I couldn't do that. That one.
You're probably like, what are you doing, Scott? The default, you're like, cut it out. The default mode network is a brain area, a set of brain regions that have been discovered in recent years that communicate with each other for a specific purpose, and seem to have evolved over the course of human evolution for what we can call the social imagination, the ability to imagine ourselves in the future, and as well as imagine other people's perspectives, and to daydream and create what's called spontaneous cognition, which is the kind of cognition that's not prompted by someone else. This was huge in the course of human evolution once we evolved the default mode network. The ability to actually self-generate thoughts without an external stimulus actually, I think, marks the point in human history between a non-creative species and a creative species. I would go so far to say that.
Wow. And then you have a new term for it. I think it's the
imagination network.
Yeah, the imagination. I like that. I feel like it's like a lot more spunky to say the imagination network. Yeah. I imagine like this creativity jungle gym, like you're swinging from thought to connective thought. And like when we're working on a new movie, I kind of feel like we're in a creative jungle gym and we're trying to link together the ideas. So
I like that. Yeah. And I like that. I like your definition of creativity. I would just say just the linking of things that can put you in a mental institution.
Right. It's a part of it, but not the act of creation. But I think I want to make a movie now of us in an imagination, like creative network, which I think would be really fun. So maybe we'll do that. So back to what we're talking about, creativity on a different level in the brain and neuroscience. What remains the brain's biggest mystery to you, Scott?
The brains. You're asking me the brains or the human nature in general? The brain? Well...
Okay, wait. No, that's a good distinction. Human nature. I'm going to change it. For 10 points, I'm changing my question a little bit. Getting punchy, sorry.
You know... My gosh, I get fascinated with a new question every day that like plagues me and then I try to like figure out the paradox, whatever. Maybe I could mention something right now that I find a fascinating paradox.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like today, but next week it might be something else. But today, I tell you, I am totally fascinated by a certain paradox that my colleagues and I are doing some research on called vulnerable narcissism. Basically, we found that the more there's a form of narcissism that's related to low feelings of self-worth, so low feelings of importance in life, shame, and usually shame and just very low feelings of like insecurity, like am I worthy? So you become very needy and you need the attention from others to validate you all the time. And what I find is a fascinating juxtaposition of, on the one hand, we find they report items like such as I am worthless, and they also put items such as I am the best. The same person. So
interesting.
And I find that just fascinating, and I think it actually says a lot about when we crack the code of what that is. Because I think a lot more people, and especially creative people, have that kind of like extreme highs and extreme lows like that of self-worth. I think once we crack that nut, we'll crack human creativity, and we'll also crack a lot about human nature. So I'm not trying to say this as like, I don't want to label anyone as you're this, you're that. But I think once we really understand that fascinating paradox, we'll understand a lot more. But to me, it's still a mystery.
That's interesting. So, I mean, just speaking of, kind of unpacking the mystery of it, how do you think people can tap more into their creativity just through your research?
I will say that it relates very much to what I just said, and I'll bring it all come full circle right now because we found that creative people have this amazing ability to take extreme contradictions of their personality and integrate it in and channel it into a very creative direction. So we find that they're really creative people may have these polarities within themselves, but they have accepted it more so than the non-creative person, and I have not been scared of it. And that actually forms a core theme of our book, Wire to Create, that I wrote with Caroline Gregoire. But it also has been said by prior creativity researchers through the years, such as Frank Barron and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. They found the same exact thing about creative people. So I actually think that one of the greatest steps to creativity is really embracing and exploring the full depths of your own humanity.
I love that. I mean, I think even as I get older, I think actually a point in my career where I really just owned incorporating who I was into my work like I never used to be in my movies. And then it was a certain point where I'm like, I can't tell this story unless I'm looking to camera and owning that this is my perspective instead of not owning that.
You're good at that. You seem like someone who's very comfortable in their own skin. It always strikes me as that. You strike me as that.
Well, for a long time, thank you. But it was a process because for a lot of my movies, I used to have, I'd have a man narrate. It was this very the voice of God. And then there was a certain point where I'm like, these are my ideas. I'm going to speak them and I'm going to show the viewer that this is my perspective. And I think it placed me in a real, so it was owning my voice. And then that was completely liberating. Once I did, because a lot of documentaries are pretending to be objective. And once I kind of own that, I'm like, this is just what my perspective is. And it was liberating. But I have, there's so much more I want to talk to you about. I wish we had more time, but
me too.
I'm getting the 1 minute warning. Okay, let's see. We're asking everyone, what does the world need more of right now? And I feel like you could say creativity, but you could say something else.
Creativity is not what I think the world necessarily needs more of. I mean, it's the obvious answer is love, right? And every person guest today probably said that to you. But no,
that was not. It was a theme, but it wasn't that. It's guess that character strength or need. It wasn't that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I'm curious what you're gonna say now.
I said love.
Oh, you said love.
Yeah.
I slid right over that. I agree with you. Yes, and Sharon Salzberg said that too, but not everyone said that. But I'm with you. Love just feels like it's an all-encompassing.
But okay, I know I have 20 seconds, so I'll say a very specific form of love, and that's the ability to love and to be loving, but not necessarily love. So too much bad things in the world actually happen from people who have a desperate need to belong, and I argue that's separate from unselfish love. Okay, I'm done.
Wait. No. That was too. You have to unpack that a little bit more because it's so interesting. Because Sharon was talking about love as an ability.
Correct.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about. It's worth the time to talk.
Okay. One of my heroes, Abraham Maslow, distinguished between needing love and unneeding love. He called unneeding love be love or being love. I think that what we need more in the life are people to be love, not desperately need love, or desperately cling to love, or desperately do things for others to have loves to make themselves feel better about themselves. We need a very specific kind of love, which is what Maslow called being love.
I can't think of a better way to end our whole day of interviews.
Yay!
Imagination Institute. We're going to do something together one of these days.
I would love to. I think you're incredible. And thanks for including me in this so much.
Thank you, Scott. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.